And we are live. This is Dumb the Wiser. My name's JP Berg, and today we have joining us Kris Erickson. How you doing, Kris?
Doing very well, man. How are you doing?
Good, man. It's good to have you back. It's been a while. Well, it hasn't even been that long since we've chatted, but so much has transpired. It seems like, there's just no shortage of topics.
Yeah, it feels like it's too long with the way things are moving. So thanks for having me back, man. It's a pleasure to be here, and you're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks, brother. You too. I'm a big fan of all your content, and I'm actually coming on to your new Spaces project. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I think it's. I'll just go back a little bit as far as the moment, as how this came to be is when I left X for a few weeks, a month or so ago. I knew when I came back, if I was going to come back, I had to do things differently, and I really, I took out the whiteboard, did some soul searching, and tried to realize, tried to put something together that would really make me feel like I'm doing, I'm upping my game when it comes to helping other people. I'm an advocate by heart. I've been, I've been in many wars in my life, whether they're political or on the ground community organizing. And I felt that if I'm going to come back, then I want to be using my account in a more productive way to be able to highlight, to be able to be there for people, to create a level of consistency, and so that's why like I have other things I want to do, but in the beginning it was okay. Sunday nights, I'm going to run night call spaces, create a positive to the most, for the most part, try and keep a positive tone, try and bring people on. They're doing good work, people that have gone through, share their stories, what they're working on, and just kind of create a community that way and be there for people on Sunday nights to be able to at least finish off the week on a positive note, wake up Monday morning a little bit more refreshed. And I'm taking the approach too that, I'm the bus driver. I have no misplaced sense of importance. I don't view myself as having followers. It's about what can we do to build a community here? Because I know a lot of people are suffering and there's a lot of good people doing good work out there. So it's a matter of, all right, I'm going to commit to it. I overcame the introversion and said, screw it. I'm going to do it.
I straight up too, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I think it's admirable, and you got a nice following, and like I said, you don't consider them a following, and I get that impression from you. You're very down to earth. We've had a couple conversations now, but there's so many people in the Canadian X space, and I'm not going to name names. They all know exactly who they are, and they just post bait all day, rage bait. Fueling these dialectics, and there's a lot of them with large followings, and they're seemingly making money. And I mean, then you got in this ecosystem, you also have like the CPC shills, accounts and personalities in Canadian alternative media that are directly, and again, I won't name names, that we all know who they are, though. It's funny because we all really do. And it's like all of these Canadians now are finally coming to the point where their communities are deteriorating to the extent where they're like, hey, let's look and see what the alternative media is talking about. Hey, let's go on X. They come on X and then they find these shills and these rage baiters, and no one's looking at anything, and it's important. Like, my posts are definitely hyperbolous. I'm trying to wake people up. I think what I see is both parties are entirely owned by a globalist oligarchy. And believe me, I'm well aware of how sensational that sounds. It's probably relative to the fact that it is, but it doesn't mean it's not happening, because it's very evident. We're not at the point now where that statement is kind of indicative of paranoia. If you don't accept that as like a presupposition, then it's indicative of naivete on your behalf, in my estimation.
Fully agree, man. I think we're at that point now where all the evidence is there. To deny it is not only a disservice to yourself, to your country, to your family. I think it's one of those things that and I've talked to a lot of people. I don't really talk to too many liberals, but at the same time, I don't use broad brushes. I try not to. It's just not fair, I think. But with a lot of conservatives I talk to, they're opening their eyes a little bit now. They don't see anything happening. Nobody's been held accountable for 10 years. You bring up, like, again, when we look at the shills or the rage baiting, I found myself kind of straying, not necessarily into that, because I try and use my account to, if I put something out there that may be considered a little bit inflammatory, a lot of the times I'm just trying to see, okay, where are we at? Are we on the same page here? And some of the posts that take off, but I started realizing some of the posts that I'm putting out there could be putting fear into the community, and I don't want to do that. What I want you to do is take a look. I want you to be prepared, hope for the best, plan for the worst. And so you get to that point now where you look at it and we see what's going on. I know we'll probably touch on what's going on around the world, but to think that there are still a lot of people that put their faith in a system that is blatantly not looking out for their best interests. You know, I was in politics for a long time, and these people can pick up the phone. The cops, they can pick up the phone, but whether it's foreign interference, whatever the thing is, they always just change the channel and move on. And now we're seeing a situation where I feel bad for a lot of conservatives because it's hard to cut through that dissonance. It's so hard to believe that that they're all in it together, right? And so you can't shake people because that's illegal. At the same time, you know, the work you do, the work I do was not comfortable when I finally said in November, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. There's way too much evidence, and it aligns with my intuition. I fear for my country. I fear for the people in our country. I'm not afraid. I'm fearful of not being prepared for what comes next. You know, and we're seeing what comes next in regards to what's happening in Europe. But at the same time, if Canadians don't wake up, I'm talking left, right, middle, if you cannot accept that every single one of those people in Parliament, and I would start to now say, you know, the legislatures provincially, you know, this is the long game. They've been playing a long game with us. And now we're in a situation where the energy is electric. You know, I feel it when I'm on X the last, you know, week or so. It's kind of like there's something happening here that people are waking up. It's not going to start in Canada. I know that. But at the same time, I still have hope, you know, just for those people that are like that. What if you're wrong? Have you ever considered that? What if you were wrong? That dissonance that's telling you that the CPC is going to fix this. The CPC is in opposition. They're opposed to globalism. What if you're wrong? Do you have a backup plan?
It's just like, have you ever even considered it? Because most haven't. And I understand they derive a lot of their security from the coherence of their worldview. And they truly believe in this dual party system that are entirely opposed against one another. It's like, at this point, I don't even think it's just that the parties are bad. I think in Western politics, I think the oligarchy, and like I'm not going to get into huge conspiracies here, but like, kind of the force that kind of influenced things after the Federal Reserve Act, then kind of consolidated a little more power, the military industrial complex, some of the banking interests, the intelligence apparatus after 63. But I mean, it's just, I think the major mechanism in which they utilize to hurt us is our proclivity for this right-left ideological leanings. And it's like I've been trying to put my finger on this. Jordan Peterson mentioned a lot of the literature that indicates, for instance, we're genetically predisposed to a certain temperament. And there's personality traits, the big five. And then within this, certain temperaments predispose you to certain political leanings. So those who are high in openness and high in creativity tend to lean to the left. And those who are high in conscientiousness and orderliness tend to lean to the right. So, I mean, we're naturally wired for these kind of biases. And I truly think the ruling class figured out how to play us off against one another. I try to tell people that are vehement leftists, and I used to identify more as like a conservative, like I'm a conservative man and this and that. Now it's like, I see most of this is bullshit. Most of it's truly bullshit. And it's how they're hurting us. It's like, I try to tell people now, it's like, I'm not going to tell you that my worldview is right, coming from a right perspective. I think that we're both watching different movies. And if we convince each other that we're truly watching different movies and like, let's cut through this bullshit and see like what pragmatic steps we could take to resolve some of the things that are wrong with our country. And that's what we're kept from discussing by all these like very vivid, distractive topics like the transgender issues, some of the racial issues, and they're always pushed to the forefront. In Canada, our history with the residential schools.
Anything that's super polarizing, boom, throw it at him. And hit him again, right?
It doesn't. It just creates this cycle of feuding and tribalism, and it whips it into a fever pitch. At the same time, well, we're all fighting with one another over these ultimately inconsequential preferences. The technocratic state is being constructed around us. They're implementing digital IDs. We've had the first climate change lockdown set as a precedent. I mean, like, it's time to realize, look, there's a plethora of things. There's a limitless amount of things that can divide us, but there's a few extraordinarily important things presently that should unite us. And we got to see those. We got to see those and give them the gravity that they deserve.
That's what it's all about, man. And I think that when you see, you know, we can argue, not even argue, but again, we can debate how long this game has been in play. But when I focus on, you know, pulling back around to what I'm working on, it really was, wanting to focus on the trauma, because people are in a traumatized state. They're anxious. There are probably lots of PTSD. I'm not a doctor, but there's probably a lot of PTSD going around, fear, hopelessness. They just don't know what to do. And that's what really irritates me, is that all these people that can just look at Canadians and say you're disposable, that you don't have any value. You leave it to me, give me another 4 years, I'll fix it. And it's like, wait a second, no, you won't. So when it comes to me, I'm thinking, okay, I thought to myself, and I heard a few people early on in the call, but it's like, nobody gets left behind. Everybody gets a space on the truck, right? And so when I'm looking at realizing, finally accepting, they're never going to talk about what they did to the population 5 years ago. They're never going to talk about all these things. They're not coming back around to foreign interference. Doesn't matter what evidence is there. They just pretend it's not there, and everyone falls in line. So whether it's elbows up or axe to tax, it's ridiculous that they are able to manipulate people, but they've been very surgical to put people in that state of just, okay, this is my team, right? What about the battlefield? Have you seen the battlefield? It's covered in trauma. People are suffering, people are hurting, and everyone's got a different journey, but they're hurting. Not necessarily everyone. I'm sure I've met some pretty strong people through here, whether they're being honest with me how they're doing. But it wasn't easy for me. I'm sure it wasn't easy for you, adjusting to whatever this is they're doing. But at the same time, I got so sick of it. Like, I got sick of describing the train wreck every day when people are getting run over every day. So I'm thinking to myself, how do I make my account available to try and bring people together? I'm a community organizer by heart. I have really good skills in regards to, I can say you have value and you matter. If I sat down with you, I'll walk you through it. You've got transferable skills. You have something to contribute. But it all has to start from within, because you have to understand now that you have to find yourself. You have to be able to identify self-worth and build your confidence to figure out a way to live in this world while remaining authentic and feeling like you have a sense of agency, not being dragged around by whatever color your party carries, telling you how to think, because it's the wrong case. They're going to walk you right off a cliff. And that's what makes me sad. But at the same time, I can't turn my back on it. So now I'm like, okay, I reflected, okay, the politics is there. I understand politics. I can walk the walk and talk the talk. But I need to go back to my roots. I need to get back into I have my social services diploma. I was an advocate. I used to walk down the dark alleys, right? And try and help people, and was never, it doesn't matter to me, man, what your faith is, what your skin color is. To me, a Canadian was a Canadian. And now I see that suffering, and I'm acknowledging it. I want to be able to tell people, yeah, it happened. But this group of people, these politicians, they don't care. So how can Canadians just move on and say that the people that did this to our country, are going to be the ones that should be trusted to save it, to fix it? Or have we seen anybody held accountable? And so I got to the point, I'm like, screw it, right? I'm going to bake a cheesecake. I'm going to be there for people on Sunday nights. I'm going to do whatever I possibly can, stay humble and stay focused. It's always been my motto. Help as many, hurt as few while I'm here. But I want to be able to do the most that I possibly can with my account, because it's not my account, man. It's our account. All the people that have, kind of walking with me through this, we're all walking together, but I genuinely mean it. And now I intend to prove it by providing a platform for people to at least, if I can do anything on two sides, right? You have people on, and I'm thinking to myself, there's a lot of people out there that have done good work, but their morale is low. Okay, let's get some people on that their morale may be low, give them that opportunity to reach a larger audience, so that at least that night they can go to bed and feel a little bit better. And then the people in the audience can hear that people are still getting up. They get knocked down, but they get back up again. And that's what has to happen. You got to get back up. And right now, too many people are on their knees when it comes to these political parties that are screwing us from both sides, all sides, man.
It's just shocking that more aren't waking up. I truly assumed, and I remember referencing this during our last discussion. The last time I had you on, it's like, I think that we're going to see, more people realizing the performative nature of it all. Like, it's at this point, it's like the WWE, and like Pierre won't speak to anything. The dude was in Halifax during, like, they eased up on these restrictions now. The Nova Scotia didn't push back in any collective regard. We had some brave individuals like Mr. Jeff Evely that challenged it legally and asserted his rights, as he say, and that was super admirable. But like, I'm from the same small place that Jeff Evely's from, Sydney, Cape Breton. I grew up there, and like, when you go on the social media there, it's like the locals they don't like that. They think like, oh, he's a nut job or he's a weird right wing guy, and it's just like, holy fuck, man. Like, the guy's like doing and it's just the kind of the mass formation that sets up, right? It's with these narratives, and I've spoken to this before. So many people derive such security from this narrative now. And out of necessity, these are the same people that bought the COVID narrative hook, line, and sinker, and they become this enforcement mechanism to perpetuate the narrative. And I've seen it right away in Nova Scotia, right away. And this like anger, man, like these people aren't that angry. They can't be. And just because I have this alternate stance on this wildfire restriction, they would look at me as if I was from an out group, and they would look to destroy me. It was unbelievable, man. The animus and the vitriol I felt from these people, and it's like
Donald Sutherland in the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Nobody's got an independent thought. Get him.
That's what it is. When you realize the extent of how malleable the populace is, and how like subject to stimuli we are. If they present us with the right fear stimuli, they can hurt us, man. And they're excellent at doing this. They've studied this for many years, like going back to like some of the propaganda techniques that Goebbels used during World War II.
And he learned them from he learned it from the past as well. Like these are an amalgamation of how to manipulate the human psyche, right? They know what they're doing, and they're masters at it.
And just the mass too, right? Like the individual, it's hard. It's not impossible to penetrate the individual, but when you put a bunch of people together and you scare them, man, we're as easy as any other herd animal to stimulate, right?
And the most dangerous, man. Like seriously. I mean, I laugh at it again, but that's like, it's not the government I fear. It's what the government will do to the population that makes my neighbors dangerous. It's like, seriously, like, are you guys gonna? And that's the thing about it, is that we saw during COVID that the military used propaganda techniques. They saw it as an opportunity to test psyops, right? And that's the evil side of it, right? Is like, they know what they're doing. And the worst part about it is like, I've just used this description before. If you're familiar with narcissism, I would describe the liberals as the overt malignant. Like, they don't care. They're grandiose. They've got their thing going on. You can see they don't hide what they're doing. Right? They just do it. Then you've got the covert side, which is the CPC. It's the same level of manipulation that is going on, the same level of kettling. I believe firmly right now that the CPC is the biggest obstacle to us actually having protests. I honestly believe that, because there's so many people that believe that in a savior, and it doesn't matter how many times, right? You get O'Toole, same thing. You get Scheer, same thing. Sorry, Scheer, O'Toole, Polyev. Same thing over and over again. It's the same playbook, and people can't see how manipulative they are, right? And that's the sad part, because if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're in a game you don't know you're playing. And then if you do, go ahead.
Here's the thing too, like, people attach their egos to their positions.
Yeah.
It's never been such an extremely dynamic moment, politically, domestically, geopolitically. When you zoom out, it's never been more intentionally convoluted with disingenuous information and propaganda. Like, if anything, you should humble yourself in this moment and try to be hyper vigilant in vetting information, and not so quick to jump in a tribe. It's like, I'm just going to jump in a tribe and fight now. And that's where people feel like they got their back up against the wall. And it's not necessarily the case, man. It's like, I try to tell people, like, just from studying history, like, things get bad and they build to a point, and then there's a tipping point. It's like the analogy I used before we started streaming. Like, think of a vessel. You're watching a vessel fill with rainwater. And if you're sitting there watching this, it seems excruciatingly slow. It's just very small changes. But every raindrop being representative of an individual that's awakening right now, inevitably it fills, and inevitably it overflows. And that's where it seems like we're very close to that. We're seeing pushback in the UK. Now, the UK, again, like we mentioned, it's a smaller, more condensed spot. And they're definitely farther along with implementation of the agenda there. The mass migration has been way worse. Some of the censorship, like they've passed their Online Harms Act, which is probably a good time to talk about this now. Like, this domestically, the next move of the Carney regime will be to enact censorship.
Yeah.
Because the bit of progress individuals like you and I are having in uniting people and trying to speak to these issues more broadly outside of that uniparty dichotomy and the conservative liberal dichotomy, like they know the damage we could potentially do. And I really think they understand the obstacle that we present, and I think they're going to be desperate to circumvent that obstacle. And the mechanism in which they're going to do so is this online harms legislation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested to see how Poilievre is going to pretend like he's opposed to this legislation, because I mean, the way I see it rolling out in the UK, for instance, any slight deviation from the rigid and radical orthodoxy of the ruling class is being construed or characterized as misdis or malinformation.
Yeah.
Any type of rational criticism against their weaponized mass migration is being characterized as hate speech. They're making examples of people that are speaking against the regime. This is modus operandi of authoritarianism, if you read any history about it. And this is where we are, right? And they're dedicating resources to it. Canada, coincidentally, has this legislation sitting there waiting to be passed with the exact same name. And we're still supposed to believe that this is just our independent nation.
Wasn't it tabled by the, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that this document tabled by conservatives in the beginning?
It was. It was. I believe Sean Fraser's in charge of that now, the minister in charge of that. And he's saying, kind of indicating that they will be looking to pass this immediately. And it's rolled up as it's a Trojan horse, but it's
protect kids.
That's it, man, to protect kids. So then if you have a rational criticism against it, what are you, against protecting children? It's like, no, but I'm hesitant to
well played. Wait, like at the one-handed clap, right? Like
it's just shocking, man. And this is a climate that is existing right now. And it's like, I think we have a limited time to unite and kind of push back against this, because they're going to endeavor to silence us. That's for sure.
And it's just us, the ones in the middle that aren't towing the line. And what the problem is that I think there's a component of it too, that some of the people that were traumatized that are still in a state of paralysis or just dissociation. I mean, if you were, well, you got to think about that, right? They cut right through society with COVID, right? I lost a ton of friends, not so much on the family side, but I lost a ton of friends, isolated, couldn't go here, couldn't go there. So that fear of being, either walk the plank or you're outside the castle walls now. It's the same approach when it comes to the political parties. I view them as cults because they're very culty in how things operate, right? And so if you go against the grain within the party, you're tossed aside, right? And so when that is your identity, that I'm a conservative, again, we can play, are you a conservative? Not really, but whatever. But when that's your only team, when that's your only sense of connectivity to the world, right? And a lot of people, for them, that is it. You see these influencers online. I would say some of them are definitely paid. I wish we could get the data to show that these people are being paid, because you can't be that stupid. And it makes me angry, man, when I see people that are just so charge, because it's like people are trusting these people. They are the furthest thing from authentic. Right. They're not. It doesn't matter whatever the party tells them to do, whatever the new tagline is, they're in on it. And it makes me angry. Like, I don't get angry very often, but some of these people are so destructive. And yet they get up every morning, whether it's for a paycheck, if X is paid, you know what I mean? Like, to say that, are they a government agent? Are they being paid by the party, or are they just all for the likes, clicks, and I need my X payout? At the end of the day, still, there's no authenticity there. They're doing it for themselves. On one side, maybe to benefit monetarily. On the other side, they're scared shitless. Sorry for the language. They're scared shitless, and they think if they just play ball, that they will be protected. And again, I can understand that, but you're selling. Not only have you sold your soul, you're walking all these people, these good people behind you. There's a lot of good conservatives out there, man. There's actually a lot of like normal liberals too. There's normal, again, whatever happened, where flick was switched, everyone went crazy. But I feel bad for them because, and again, I don't call them out online. Like I've called a couple out over the 5 years, but nothing comes of it, right? I'm blocked by most of them because I did call them out, right? And it's just like, right?
I did it. Like, I come at this very earnestly, man. Like, I'm a working class guy. I mean, I'm well spoken. I can write. So, I mean, I was able to get in these algorithms, but I debate people very authentically. And it's like, I'm not pushing a narrative. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Pardon my vulgarity, but that's my only premise. And when some of these guys, I will mention this one name. I don't want your comment on it. I don't want to cause any drama, but this truck driver pleb dude, who, I mean, he doesn't strike me as a super, like, intelligent dude, but he seemed sincere initially. He really did. He reminded me a lot of the guys I grew up with and worked with, working class dudes, kind of silly, doesn't take himself too seriously. And I thought that was appealing, and I could see why he had some success. But then it's like, I don't even know if this dude is being paid directly, but I think some of the contacts he made, it made him like self-important, right? And then your audience captured anyway. But I mean, beyond that, I think he had access to the CPC. Pierre was retweeting him. He was invited by Pierre to these events. And I mean,
love bombed.
Yeah, man, you just end up becoming a mouthpiece for this. It's like, and I was trying to tell these people, look, like, this is a strange new market that's assembling itself, and it's entirely out of necessity. The media, the fourth estate, is a necessary component of a functioning democracy. Their job, the media class, is to kind of condense all the complexity of politics and present it in a digestible format to the populace, to the electorate, so we can make an informed decision. But I mean, the media, for the entirety of my life, is just pushing narratives. So, I mean, all of a sudden we realized this, it came into hyper focus during COVID. So people got on here and started talking the truth, talking to each other, doing their own research. That terrible term, they hate to hear it. But a lot of regular people were doing their own research and coming on here and presenting it. So they started to get audiences, because look, man, the biggest mistake they're making right now, the oligarchy, the Canadian government, we'll just leave it there. I won't go too conspiratorial with it. But the biggest mistake they're making there is they're underestimating the populace. Yeah. Like, man, we're at this point, like, we're seeing the deterioration of our communities. We're becoming poorer. I mean, our money, it's getting harder every day. We're hearing the same feckless rhetoric from both sides of this, just sloganeering, scripted rhetoric. It's becoming very, very obvious to people that it's all fake. And it's just like, it's just where are we going now, man? Like, is it, I don't know. It's kind of lost myself in that tangent there.
No, man, it was perfect. And like, I will say, I don't, I've, when it comes to that certain individual, there's like 3 people on X that I will never give a mic to. I will never give a platform to. And he is one. I was entertained in the beginning off of it, but now I'm disgusted by the misdirection. You're not helping people if you are parroting what the party is saying. You're not a reporter. You're not helping. And to me, I don't like to tell people how to think. I like to get you to think. Sure. Right. That's my thing. I want you to come to your conclusion. I don't like, for me, it's not about being right. I don't want to be right. And I fought the dissonance for like 2 years, not wanting to be right. My intuition saying, hey, there's something off with what's going on here. There's way too much uniformity in what we're seeing in our politics. Mm-hmm. But when you're at this point in time where your country's burning and you can see it, people aren't stupid. Yeah. You cannot honestly tell me, you cannot give me anything when I say to you, why do you trust these people? Why do you trust these politicians? And every time it's like, oh, you haven't said anything. They trot out Leslyn Lewis, that she's able to say things really over and over again. She's the only one in the party that's allowed to talk. No, that is her role, so that I can't say all of them.
That's right. Right. It's to vent the tension. And that's what they do. And that's what Pierre does. He very selectively will eventually speak to a topic. I mean, he was pushed on every contentious issue that was brought to him. Pierre, I initially supported Pierre before I started to immerse myself in these issues.
Actually, yeah. Okay. We talked about this before.
Yeah. I mean, so I totally understand why many people fell for it. I did. Now, I realized many, many months before the election, and I started to do everything I could to say, like, hey, just rethink this. And I would set up, like, I feel there's a preponderance of circumstantial evidence that indicates this to me conclusively. I like my case, and I've written an article just laying out, it's only about 1,000 words, laying out what I think.
It's a powerful 1,000 words, though, man.
It is, man. And I'll share it. And people come back and it's like, where's your evidence? And it's like, well, dude, there's not commonly tangible evidence with these things. Well, then I don't believe it. Well, it's like, look, if you're refusing to believe the evidence of your eyes and ears, we're in Orwellian times already.
The final command, man. The final command.
That's where we are, because it's like there's a preponderance of circumstantial evidence, and it's just the whole grift. And again, if it was happening in a vacuum and this was isolated to Canada, it wouldn't be as easy to see. But the fact that it's not, and these exact same detrimental policies are being implemented right across the Commonwealth countries, right across the EU countries, the same weaponized mass migration, the same cloud pivot strategy to overwhelm our social systems, as a destabilizing tactic. And then the balkanization of the electorate, like we've got incongruous communities in Canada, and they're powerful voting demographics in certain locations, right? So, I mean, it's hard to unify on these grounds. And then you got aspects of the right community starting to come out and talk about heritage Canadians and all of this stuff. And it's like, I don't know, man. All I'm seeing is more division. I truly am. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a big unifying call. I don't think it's going to be efficacious, except in capturing a lot of people that are disenfranchised and angry, and provide them with something to kind of throw some rage at. I think it's I'm not a huge fan of what I'm seeing. It's like I say, we've never been more factionalized, and it's like I said earlier, there's so much that divides us. And I get them. Some of these issues are super relevant, and we can have rational discussions about the differences. But presently, considering the profundity of our institutions and how subverted they are, like that, it's just, I mean, these people are trying to cause a war right now with Putin.
Yeah.
That's what they're selling. Like, man, how did we get here? Like, it's just crazy. Every day you wake up and it's more psyops. And that's what people have. It's psyop fatigue. What's real? Is there any stable ground to stand on so I can catch my breath?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I go out and I touch the grass in the morning, I'll see a deer or something like that, just be okay, you know. But I think there's a couple points I want to make on that. I think the first one is the what's happening we're seeing in Europe. And I think that it's important for people to realize, or at least ask themselves, what's the common denominator? You've listed the policy problems. Why are they allowed to continue? Because the opposition is controlled.
Yes.
It's no different. So ask yourself, do you think that they would just leave our opposition alone? When we've got WEF, again, Chrystia Freeland was sitting on the board of trustees for the WEF her entire tenure as finance minister. Not a word as far as foreign interference goes. We got Klaus Schwab bragging that he's penetrated the cabinet. Not a word. When Poilievre lost, who did he put in charge of the Conservatives? Andrew Scheer, a former WEF young global leader. Who was Poilievre's most... Former, yeah. Who's the most... Go to his page right now. Who did he just retweet? Michelle Rempel. Proud young global leader.
Melissa
Landsman, yeah. And John Baird. You look at the Eurasia group with Carney, Baird, Evan Solomon, all these, Gerald Butts, all of these people. It's like, you guys, you got to open your eyes and at least accept the fact that they could be screwing you. And so I for me, that's what the big point. Say, whether in Europe, where we see in Australia, the oppositions are compromised. They're in it together. So why would you think that Canada is the exception? It makes no sense just to believe that. To think of how hard you'd have to gaslight yourself to think, oh, we're going to be fine. There's no problem here. No, we're on the same path, just a little slower because we're a massive landmass. They can actually do a lot more to us because it's so hard for us to protest, and we're still dealing with that. Bank accounts being frozen, a lawfare potential, right? They're going to the willingness to. So we're in the situation where so many people are paralyzed. The problem is, though, there's a guy. Gerald Celente said, I think it's his quote, but I'm not sure. When someone has nothing left to lose, they lose it.
Yes.
And this government is taking everything away. And what my fear is again, I think that, I think it was Tommy Robinson that put it out today. Again, do I support everything Tommy Robinson says? Absolutely not. I don't. But at the same time, he's got some valid points. And so what he even came out today is that there's a bigger thing going on in the 13th in Europe saying they want this. They want us to rise up and have a violent attempt at a revolution. It will not succeed anywhere on this planet. It will not. Well, again, America's got a lot of guns, but I still don't think it would be successful because I think that you have, it's what they want.
So in psychological warfare, sometimes your reaction is your enemy's true action.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing, man. And they're a step ahead of this. So when I think this, when I'm scrolling through my feed and I see something that's kind of evoking an emotional response, when I see this right-wing rage bait, which is supposed to appeal to my conservative sensibilities and make me think, oh, this is wrong. Like I realize what it is. It's like, think of the nature of war propaganda. Like the nature of war propaganda, for me to present an atrocity that occurred from one side of a war and to show it to you and to say it's the whole premise of that is to create more atrocities like this being a justification and to appeal to your emotions and to your rage and your instincts. And it's just like, we're not thinking in these situations, and we're so wired to fall for these tricks.
They want us to dehumanize the other side.
Oh, that's 100%
dehumanization
tactics, and that comes from the tribalism. So
Yeah.
the tribalism creates everyone who doesn't have this commonality or uniformity of thought or ideology. They're in an out group now.
Yeah,
So
they're the othering, right?
That's right. Yes, and it's just like, man, at this point we have so much history to look at and say, like, do we want to fall into these exact same patterns? Do we want, like, it's history repeating itself, man?
Yeah, it is history repeating itself. And that's why it's like, it's important. I think you do the same thing as me. It's kind of like, I can have a difference of opinion with a conservative, but I bet you money, like so if I'm talking about, okay, they're all in it together. Okay. Remove that. The other 9 things, we are going to find some level of agreement. Can we still have a conversation? Because I know you care about your country. I know I care about my country. I want the best for the people. I don't care what, like I said before, I don't care about your race, your religion, your political affiliations. I think you should have the opportunity for you to live if you put the work in, if you actually, merit-based society where you should have the opportunity to be able to build a life for you and your family, free from government interference. Kind of sounds libertarian, but again, there's no broad brush. I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm right in the middle. I'm right in the middle. And so where we have to, that's what I'm doing with what I'm trying to do now, is to be able to help show Canadians that we can have differences of opinion, but we don't have to get to that othering. You don't agree with me 100% on everything, then I can't talk to you, right? Oh, and at the same time, I don't go around trying to convince people to think the way I think. It's like, okay, if you're not ready to go there, or maybe I'm wrong on something. Right.
Well, that's true diversity, right? Like they go on about diversity in the most superfluous way, as if it's, a reduction to your melanin content or your religion or whatever. But the most diversity is diversity of perspective. That's true diversity. And when you have a robust dialogue nationally, there is room for a diversity of perspectives. And I like that. For me, I like to discuss these topics. So I can detach my ego from my position. And I can have a modicum of decorum, and I can explore these topics with people. I could be a gentleman and still disagree with people. And I think that's what we've lost. And I think it's relative to this polarization. We've been whipped into a fever pitch, man, on virtually every metric available. It's like I said, we're pinned against each other with the right-left false dichotomy. And that's what it is in Canada. It's a fake dichotomy. And then on top of it, there's all the racialism that's coming about in Canada. Now there's the age thing. Like, oh, it's those greedy boomers. They got all the wealth and they're hoarding it and they're benefiting from this system. And it's like, dude, it's every virtual metric we're being divided on. So let's go. I'm thinking along the same lines as you. It's like, I truly believe that we can have some unity without having uniformity of thought. I don't regret.
What a concept, eh?
It's a novel one, isn't it? And it's just like, we forget this in these polarizing moments, right? And these, and it's like something's happening here with the whole post-World War II liberal order. Like, it's factionalized, and we're seeing something change out of it. That's undeniable. No one knows, so it's conjecture to speculate on that. But what I'm trying to indicate, it's like we're in a very transformative time. And people, I think collectively, we have to make a conscious endeavor to find out what unites us and not focus on what divides us. And that sounds like some hokey ass, I'm being very, silly or even naive, but no, I'm being deadly serious. If we don't, we're going to lose. We are simply going to lose because
guaranteed, man.
They're playing us off against one another.
And I think one of the big,
we have to realize.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the parts of it is, because it's not to say that there hasn't been other people. We're not new to this thought pattern, right? It's the pattern I think you see over the 5 years, where after the convoy and stuff, especially the last 3 years, when you do try to do that, there are people that are hell bent on making sure that does not happen. And what we don't see is the conviction in people to say, you're not welcome at the table because you clearly don't understand what we're up against. Right. Because again, it's like we can have differences of opinion. Right. There are certain things that I have a line with. If you're for child mutilation and all that kind of stuff, I have my principles. I can never wrap my head around that. but a lot of other things, other issues I can. And at the same time, if I disagree with you, I still want to hear what you have to say. Right. I don't want to censor you. I'm not going to try and get all my friends to view you in a different light. No, every human being's got their own opinion. They should be entitled to have their own opinion. Am I always right? No. Are they always right? No. But what the problem is that we have is, because we're so put into compartments in this country, and it's so hard for us to get together because of the distance that comes with it. It would take me 3 days to go for a beer with you if I left now, right? Like,
honest to God, just to put emphasis on anyone who might not be watching from Canada, I'm in Nova Scotia. I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Kris is in British Columbia. So I'm right now. It's 5:41 p.m. and it's 1:41 where Kris is. Like, this is a huge ass country. And I mean, it's only, even with all the illegal immigration, there's probably about 42 million people in the whole of Canada. So, I mean, geographically, it looks big, but I mean, it's so underdeveloped, right? Especially when you get to my neck of the woods. Like, it's people don't realize that was what was so crazy about Tim Houston, and then the Liberal provincial government of New Brunswick, our neighbor here, Susan Holt, doing these restrictions. It's like, oh, well, we're just restricting you from the woods. It's like, wait a minute. Here's an important point that a lot of people miss. It's like 77% of Nova Scotia is the woods. And lots of these communities are very rural communities, and they're reliant upon these trail systems. They drive their ATVs in the woods. A lot of them do it to get by, right? Like,
it's their way of life. It was not just a simple, oh, stay out of the woods like it is for me here.
100%. There's just no way for a lot of people to stay out of the woods.
Well, I guess there's parts of BC that are in that. Not where I'm specifically. I'm in the Okanagan, so it's kind of like the desert on the border. But people were like dismissing it as though it wasn't that big of a deal, and we're all in this together. You're so selfish. It's like, hold on a second here.
Same shit, man.
Same rinse, repeat. BS,
it was like,
right?
for me, it was like I'm in an episode of The Outer Limits or The Twilight Zone, and I'm back here somehow. Because what happened in Nova Scotia, they're so pernicious and they know exactly what they're doing. So Tim Houston announces this. This is unprecedented. This is in the middle of tourism season. Nova Scotia is heavily reliant upon the tourism industry, and he just canceled summer on August 5th. So, I mean, it's so phenomenal. And then, like, this guy does these press conferences, and he's going on there, and you could tell he's like, this is the Canadian state-sponsored media. They're his friend. And like, the little questions they're throwing at him, he doesn't know what to do. Like, you could tell this guy was informed what he had to do. Yeah. Somebody called him, I'd say from the Carney government, and said, look, this is what we're doing. We're all playing ball here. It's Team Canada. Let's go. And Tim Houston didn't have the integrity to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm here to represent the constituents. I'm the premier of this province, and I'm not going to do that. Like, that's, I'll do the fire ban, which we've had in the past. And that
makes sense. Don't smoke. Don't smoke.
Don't light a fire. It's super dry. Like, I lean kind of to the libertarian realm. I'm big on individual agency, but I don't want to burn the fucking forest down. And that's what I would get from people. But what he did, I'm lost in a tangent again. What this did, he puts a rat line up right away, a snitch line.
Yeah.
So everyone's shocked by the nature of this restriction. So right away, everyone takes to social media. You're seeing the polarization happening, that mass formation on both sides of it. That's right. And then there's a rat line. So everyone's ratting on each other in Nova Scotia. And that's what happens in every authoritarian society. Michael Malice summed this up the best. He said, the only metric many mediocre people can compete upon is compliance. So when you get in these extraordinarily draconian or restrictive governmental systems, people want to out-comply you. And if they see an infraction of their neighbors, they'll rat on their neighbors. When the Berlin Wall fell and the people got into where the Stasi was, the East German secret police, they discovered to their dismay that 60% of the population was informing on the other 40%. This is how these dynamics work. Every totalitarian society is predicated on playing the populace against one another. And becoming that enforcement for it. And we're seeing that in Canada to the extent where it's truly terrifying to people that know the history of these occurrences. Like, we're really close to like true, like, radical communism, like a Marxist style government, and not in some like purist way. Like, I'm talking like the communo-fascism that we see from the CCP. It's
Right.
not every equity equalizes in a downward trajectory, and history has proven that conclusively.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is kind of where we are with it. But we've been going for about 45. We got about 553 people. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone for watching. And if everyone can like this and share it, it does so much help to for the algorithms, because we're both extraordinarily deboosted. So it's huge. And we will, at the end of this, we're going to chat for another 10, 15.
That we are.
We'll take some questions. So we will I see a lot of questions coming in, and I promise I will get to some. So I just wanted to say that.
No, I'm game, man. It's great. Yeah, we are deboosted, but I think it's a badge of honor at this stage. And I think it's important because a lot of the times, for me, it's like a lot of this, as far as keeping your wits, is attitude, right? I think that, and it's not like I'm going to pretend that nothing bad is happening, but I also am well aware of the demoralizing components. They want us to feel hopeless. They want us to feel disconnected. They want us to feel like there is no possible chance or hope or any of that kind of thing. And if you're thinking that, that's what they want.
Yes.
Right. And so 100%. It's like, right. And so, yes, you do have to take the time to say, okay, the world has changed. There is no going back. So you have to, at first, you got to let that go. Not to say I watched the Back to the Future trilogy not too long ago. I'm in the 80s. I'm Gen X, right? So it's like, okay, I got lots of tools, positive tools to go to. But when I get up every morning, nothing changes. I have the same attitude. I'm grateful. I have another day. What am I going to do with that day? And if I can make a positive impact, do things to make sure that I'm connecting, to make sure that if I'm anxious, like understanding what anxiousness and being what happens to it, understanding what fear is and being able to work through it, you're building a shield. And you have to keep going back to that shield. Think of it like Iron Man, right? How many suits does the guy have? He has different suits for different things. And I think you're at that point where the more that we can come together and be able to put those, focus on the 9 we agree on, leave the 10th thing we don't agree on out of the room, right? Then a lot of the good work can get done. When I was young, well, not younger, but I guess younger, I used to have a rule, check your egos at the door. Let's get to work. Right? Like don't look up to anybody. Don't look down on anybody. We've all got something to contribute here. And if we can stay adults, let's see what we can do. And over again, it's like, we got over that hill. And we accomplished what we wanted to do.
Absolutely. The ego is such an obstacle for solving any complex problems, because everyone, like I said, I think it's our nature to attach our ego to our conceptions or to our ideas or to our opinions. So, I mean, for that to then be a hindrance in solving things, it makes sense. But what you're saying about being grateful, it's like I always say, man, there's 2 modes of being, and we're all kind of a mixture of it. It's definitely a spectrum, but you're either grateful or you're resentful. The very nature of life is very tragic. I mean, let's put it plainly. Like, you're born, you didn't ask to exist. And I don't mean to get philosophical, but this is the true nature of life. You didn't ask for existence. And then you're born into this world with all this division and ugliness. The only thing that's truly guaranteed is pain. And it's on you to find love and to find something that makes it worthwhile. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's important to remember, like, I don't know, I say it this way, it sounds kind of silly, but you have 2 dogs in you. And you have a resentful dog and you have a grateful dog. And we're feeding those dogs through our life and through our experiences. And when you hit a certain age, if you feed that resentful one too much, it starts to take over. And then your lens is so skewed. You're so resentful about just the nature of life that you start, it creates a positive feedback loop, and it just keeps people in misery.
It reinforces it over again. And I think a big part of it too is, like, I've never accepted myself as being a victim. I can't. No, to me, it's like, certain things have things happen to me. Yeah. But did I learn from every single one of them? Absolutely.
We're all
so
victims.
Whatever.
It's the nature of it, right? And that's it. And you got to make your peace with that. And that's where true security comes from. When you have that, when you realize, like, look, I'm going to even be grateful for the suffering that I have to go through, because life on so many levels, it equates to suffering. And I'm still going to find a way to be grateful for that. And that's kind of the secret to maintaining some semblance of happiness through life. And that's without me framing it through religion or anything. I truly believe that. So that's sound advice, even considering if none of this was going on.
Exactly. And I think for me, the added caveat is, like, I've never lost that curiousness I had when I was 2. right? Always wanting to learn, always wanting to take a step back, right? A big like litmus for me, or a test for me, is if I know that I have work to do. If the colors aren't vivid, if I'm not smelling things, if my senses are off, then I have some internal work to do to make sure I can get myself back to balance. And to me, it's like, yeah, we've all got different levels of work to do. I'm not done healing. I put a lot of time and effort in through my life just to learn, grow, let go of what I don't need to carry forward. But at the same time, this is a never-ending process. I don't know what's coming over. I don't know what's coming next, but I'm not scared. Because again, right?
That's what's so funny about everyone quick to jump in these tribes right now. It's like we've never been in more of a dynamic time politically. What does conservative and liberal even mean right now in this climate, considering how dynamic it is? How much of it was real? How much of the last 20 years has been a performative charade to provide the debt-ridden, indentured employees of Canada with the illusion of participatory governance?
My whole life, has it been an illusion? I don't know.
That's what's so scary for a lot of people, right? Like I have a lot of personal friends that I'll talk to about all this stuff, and I could tell now that they're getting very uncomfortable with my perceptions of it, because I just do. I look at it and I place it geopolitically. What's going on in Australia, in New Zealand, all through the EU, what's going on in Brazil, what's going on in America, what's going on with Israel, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And it's like, you could just see, like, whatever the Western democracies were, they weren't all we were led to believe. There was a lot going on behind the scenes with this kind of clandestine oligarchy that was kind of making a lot of decisions, especially geopolitically. So, I mean, coming from like the facade has been broken for so many people, and it really is scary. And I could see why people are clinging to these safe narratives.
Yeah.
In Canada, for instance, Pierre Poilievre is going to bring it home. And he's going to do something, and he's real. And people get so mad at me when I poke holes in it all. And I really, truly feel their vitriol, because they're like, how do you know? And it's like, well, because there's a preponderance of circumstantial evidence that you're just refusing. And it's, well, it's not real. It's like there never has been any real evidence for this. I mean, let's just look at the UK post-Brexit. Boris Johnson's government got in with a mandate. What did they do? They just continued pushing the globalist agenda. 100%, absolutely everything. It was just a different flavor of globalism. And I mean, as much as we know Boris Johnson was a globalist cretin, we have no tangible evidence for that now. And that was 10 years ago. So, I mean, what do they expect? That there's going to be a smoking gun on Pierre Poilievre? It's like these people have been running things for a very long time.
But this the technical report you could do on all the reasons why that you believe. Again, the pattern recognition, there's so much there now that I don't even bother trying to explain. I've kind of pulled it back, because again, when I say these things, I am potentially taking the one thing that people need to keep their shit together. To actually go there is so again, do I want to be the person that does that? No. What I'm saying is, do I think I'm right? I do. I absolutely do. If you don't think I'm right, fine. But if you're wrong, make sure you have what you need to take care of your family. Have a backup plan. Make sure that you are doing what is right by your family in case you're wrong. But at the same time, I can only imagine it wasn't. For me, it was because like I said, I was in politics for a long time. So I saw the micro component of the WWE, them all meeting together at the bar. You should go to the legislature in BC. They all have the bar that's right next door. They all go to after work. But to try to take that one piece that's kind of holding people together, I don't want to be that guy. It's hard, right? I want to speak truth. I have to be authentic, but I don't want to shatter your world. But understand that I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help my country. I'm trying to say, hey, there's enough evidence there. These people are not working in our best interest. They haven't for a very long time. And I know that that's hard to hear, right? But at the same time, I don't want to spend all my time doing that. I want to be able to, it's hard, man.
That's what I'm moving away from now. Cause like I got a lot of people that follow me, and I don't view myself as some kind of celebrity. I got these followers, but I mean, these people follow me. And when they have a disagreement with me, I feel an obligation to engage with them. And I do. And then it goes bad. It's like these people can agree with 90% of what I'm saying. And then when it gets to something there's a cognitive dissonance with, they attack me right away. So it's like, well, how can you say that about Pierre? What do you want, Kearney to win? It's like, do you not realize, oh, you're a PPC bro, or I get all the shit. And it's like, dude, it's just
I used to do that, man. And I can imagine, you get up from being on X for a bit, you go to see your wife, you walk out, you look like Boromir on freaking Lord of the Rings, you got arrows in your chest. It was great. It was really good trying to do what I can for my country.
I put it in perspective, bro. Like, it's like I say, a lot of people, I hear a lot of people say like, oh, the drama on X. It's like, dude, it's not real to me. I have
No.
a family. I have a job. I'm working 50 hours a week in a labor
Yeah.
job. I've got
Yeah.
real concerns. And like, I'm one of my major, because I'm not trying to trivialize the extent of the political disarray presently, but I mean, as for like letting these people demoralize me, it's not going to happen with me. I've got as thick of skin as it comes.
Yeah.
But it's like, we talked a bit about this prior to us, and I think it kind of speaks to the theme of ego we were speaking about. It's like so many people, they're so it's such an egotistical endeavor for them that they just can't speak truth on here right now.
No.
And it's really hurting us as a whole. It truly is.
Yeah, and that's why if we can figure out a way to dance together, in a sense, right? Not me and you. I mean, what I'm saying is, if we're able to figure out a way, because I think it's like when you're in the middle, it's very difficult, right? Not in that sense. Like over time, it's like, oh yeah, I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror. So I have no price. I don't do quid pro quos. Like, it was just the way I was. I've been told to go after myself so many times in my life through my political work that's the trolls on here. No, but there are real people on here. There are real Canadians that are suffering. There are real people doing good work. So if you focus on that's why I figure it's like, if you spend all the time pointing out, the train's going to crash. Did you see what they did over there? The train crashed. I told you. I'm not going to do that anymore. I can't. Like, I will. I have my observations. Like, I can't completely change. But the idea, like, even last night I had a space and it was amazing. Like, it was just one of those things where you don't know until you do it. And it's kind of the same thing with the podcast. It's like, for me, it's like, is that really me? I didn't really enjoy it a couple of years ago because I didn't really I didn't know what I was doing. Right. And so I had all these people coming in, tossing grenades. And it's just like, I'm in high school again. I can't do this anymore. So coming back around this time now, I'm just like, no, I'm a facilitator. I'm taking my own skill sets, right? You want to come in, you want to have a good time, you want to learn, you want to laugh, you want to talk, you want to feel less alone. Perfect. If people come in and toss grenades, I'll kick them out, because that's not what this is for. This is not what we're trying to do. There are always going to be people that want to cause the chaos. So for what can I control is keep my hand on the bus, on the wheel. And when it goes off a little bit, get that bus steady again, because people need to be able to have something to look forward to. People need to be able to see that people are doing good work, to show them as well that we are not alone. That's one of the biggest things Canadians face right now, is because of the landmass, the size of the population. It's not easy for us to organize. They need to know they're not alone, and we are not a small group. We are huge, and we are growing by the day. And I'm just hopeful that cooler heads can prevail as that occurs. So if we do little bits of work here and there to be able to show the public that, the people on X, that, yeah, we can disagree about this and this, but at the end of the day, we care about our country. And we don't want to be alienating people. We don't want to play the games of division. So how do you do that? You become an adult. Rational, objective, have your lines. But at the same time, with what I'm doing, it's not about me. Like I said on the space last night, if it ever becomes about me, the work I'm doing, if it ever becomes about me, something's gone very sideways. And so how do I get back to the community? By being available. My account is yours. Let's see what we can do with it in a fun way. And I look forward to this Sunday, because it's going to be you, Payman Ascari, Jamie Nix, Two Chicks in Politics, Herb Powell, and Sitting Shotgun doing the co-hosting. I think it's going to be great. I think there's lots of laughs to be had. There'll be some serious discussions, but I think people will come into that space and realize that, we aren't that different. We are able to have a worldview that we understand that there's difficulties and the storm is difficult, but we still can have that mentality of getting up every morning, trying to contribute, be there for people, and I think it's going to be a great space. And then following week is I'm going to start doing, most likely do once a month, but on the 14th, I'm having all the Canadian space hosts on. Not my show, right? It's night call, but I want to see, let's bring everybody together. Let's try and expand audiences. I'm not going to agree with some of the people that are on there. It's not for me to debate that. Again, it's a platform that we have to be selfless in this.
Yeah, you're facilitating a lot of this discourse, and it doesn't indicate that you agree with these various individuals you're having on. It's just that you're willing to be the adult and to facilitate these discussions, and you're willing to make the tough calls when people are coming in there with clear intentions of being an agent of chaos. Yeah. Or to come in and it's like, look, man, it's like I said before, there's real ways we could disagree. We could disagree passionately on a topic and still maintain a modicum of decorum in the conversation. It's as simple as that. It's about respecting you as an individual and detaching your own ego from it. It's again, man, it comes back to the ego so frequently on these platforms. And like, you just see so many people, that's their primary motivating factor is their ego and this impression of themselves. And they want to be the smart guy or the right guy. And it's just, once you get caught in that, it's like we said right before we started this, it's like, it's very important to not let some of the naysayers on X demoralize you.
Yeah.
And it's really important right now to remember that your voice is very powerful. Don't let them say that it's not, because they derive their authority from our compliance. But it's very important not to let all of the positive stuff get to you on here neither. The people that are saying like, oh, you're the best, you're so smart, that's such a great take. And then your head just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're captured by this and like, you're not being genuine anymore. You're just trying to feed or validate this inflated impression of yourself.
Keep the dopamine going, and yes, it's not healthy. You lose sight. And every time I was, I'll finish off with this, and if you want to take some questions, I've got time. So,
sure.
It's one of those things that I can't remember who said it, but it's for me. Anytime I was in a position of leadership, I still to this day can't take compliments. Like I don't take compliments well because I know that I've never accomplished anything without having someone. And it could be 10 years removed, but I want to acknowledge the mentor that sat me down and said, "Hey, have you thought of it this way? Have you looked at things differently?" And if you have an inflated ego, and if you have that sense of self-importance, that really does prevent you, I think, in many ways. Not everybody, but a lot of people, it prevents growth. And so whenever I would be in a situation where we would have a victory, I'd go into a community and help the community, empower the community to cross the finish line on something, to get things done. As soon as they're saying, oh, they want to elevate me and call me out and say how great I am, it's like, nah, like I now have an opportunity to say, you can't, come on, all the people that contributed, because again, in the end, an effective leader is when the job is done, they know they did it themselves. It wasn't about one person. It was about being able to walk together, find out who's got what skills, to treat each other with respect. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what all of the things that divide us. If you can remove that and see the person as a human being, you can get so much more accomplished. And I'm telling you, in those moments when that celebration happens, it was what it was all about for me, was seeing them going. Because again, so 13 rules for radicals, a lot of community organizers effective community organizing has to come from the outside. But when I left, I'd go into a community. When I left, they were in a much better place. And it wasn't just me, because you have to sometimes have the courage to step up, right? To take those chances. I didn't know, man, the experiences I had that I learned the most from, I was in a frying pan and I didn't even realize it until I'm in the frying pan. It's like, okay, am I going to dance? Let's see what I've got. I don't know what I'm made of. So let's find out. I was interested. I was curious in the tests. And, within over time, you live, you learn, you grow. So I'll leave it there. I want to say thanks for having me on. Let's take some questions if you want to do that.
Yeah, we're going to, no, that wasn't a ramble. That was great. I agree 100%, man. I love what you're doing. I love that you're back, because I was worried that maybe you'd had enough, because I feel the same pressures. It's like, dude, what am I doing this? I'm not making that much money. That's for sure. That's such
not about the money
aspect. But I mean, like, what am I doing? Because it's getting a lot of my time. Am I being efficacious? Am I being an agent of chaos in this whole thing? Should I just shut up and let it all go? But yeah, no, I really love that you're back. I love this unity theme and getting together and having people discuss the complexities of Canada right now. And I'm all for it. I'm very much looking forward to Sunday. So
I am too. I'm just going to try and fix my camera here. I don't know what went on there. Just give me 1 sec.
Yeah, take your time, bro.
Well, it doesn't want to come back. That's not fun. We're going to have to go blurry a bit, buddy. I'm sorry about that.
You know what? It's not, no worries whatsoever. It's, I'm going to bring up a question here from MS8719. Do you know it was Jeffrey Epstein and Leslie Wexner who created the Young Global Leaders in the WEF? I personally didn't know that. I don't doubt MS8719's sentiment there. I'm not super familiar with that. I know it's all connected, and it's honestly, like, I'm personally very curious about that, but I don't want to like convolute the discourse in Canada getting on that. And I know it's relevant, but it's like there's so many potentialities for that, and there's no way to vet a lot of it, that it kind of can be a distracting kind of a thing.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, but I wasn't aware of it.
And that's how I am with it. Like, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on really. So all of this Epstein thing, I'm sure it's a very relevant narrative in these ruling classes, but I'm not an expert on the subject matter. So we got Sue Kellen Dyer. Hello, fellows, and we'll bring Sue up to say hello. I'm going to actually have Sue on Dumb the Wiser on Thursday.
She'll be on Sunday with us.
She's on Sunday with us. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's great. It's great to see a lot of people starting to find common ground and come together. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can keep it growing with people that have that diversity of viewpoints. Because I don't care if someone considers themselves liberal or libertarian or very conservative, even paleoconservatism and stuff. Like, I can handle diversity of viewpoints. I actually like that. I find that's when we get to truth, is with that.
Yeah, and it's a show. It shows character when you're able to not let one issue create a wedge where it's got to be a uniform. You're not in my echo chamber. I can't hang out with you. And it's like, well, yeah, that's not healthy.
And it really, we need that right now. We need to remember that there is a way we could disagree, and it doesn't mean that we have to hate each other. There is room for unity without uniformity, as we said.
Absolutely. That's where all the growth occurs oftentimes. So
we got Clown Worlds here. Pleb is not worth engaging with. I'm already blocked by him. I think he's in love with PP. I think the same thing too. And I don't mean to bring him up. He's just the most popular example of what I was kind of speaking to. So, I mean, ultimately, it's out of necessity. I bring him. I'm not trying to pick on Pleb, but I think he does. He blocks his detractors, which is convenient. So
I'm blocked as well. Yeah.
And that's it. I think he preemptively blocks people that he think is going to kind of.
Like I started calling him out, and that was it. Run.
That was like me too. But my light's going off behind me here, and you're all blurred up. So we ran for about an hour. It was an awesome conversation. I want to thank you again, Kris, for coming on and talking to me. We'll definitely do this again. I'm
anytime, man.
Looking forward to coming on the Spaces with you. I'm looking forward to coming on in future episodes too. Just hit me up, and I think it's a great idea, man.
Yeah, anytime you have a guest cancel or something like that, whatever, just hit me up. Can't guarantee I'll be available, but I enjoy our conversations. It's nice to be able to, there's a level of sanity in our conversations that I welcome. It's very good for the mental health. So, I love what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it.
It's mutual, man. And on that note, we'll say goodbye. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. My name's John Paul Berg. This is Dumb the Wiser.
Take care, everyone.
Cheers.